Hello everyone, welcome to the Scroll Ensemble Classical Music Improvisation channel. I'm Robert. This is a short video about preluding street musicians, showing how widespread the idea of preluding was, namely on the streets but also in literature in the 19th century, and includes an interesting description of what that might have sounded like. Frederick Marryat, here pictured on the right, published his novel Poor Jack in 1840. And he published already quite a few novels before and then many after. This novel tells the story of Thomas Saunders, a sailor's son and neglected street urchin struggling to survive in Greenwich, London in the early 19th century. And the frontispiece is here in the middle. Among Marryat's literary admirers were Mark Twain and Ernest Hemingway. So even though I had never heard of him, he must have had some influence. The interest in this video is in chapter 17. Dick Harness makes an appearance with his fiddle and is invited by some pensioners in the park to sit with them. And here you can see a picture of such a pensioner. So, Dick Harness is invited to sit with them and he replies, "You must make elbow room too, my hearty, or I shan't be able to fiddle. Come, what will you have this fine morning?" Or in other words, what tune would you like me to play? Then Harness tunes his instrument, and the story goes on. As soon as it was in tune, he flourished a prelude from the top of the scale to the bottom, ending with an ee-haw, ee-haw, in imitation of the braying of a donkey. And this was something that some musicians seem to have specialized in. In another book, there's an account of a farm musician who had specialized in all the sounds of all the animals, which he imitated on his violin. So later on, another street musician called Opposition Billy plays as well, and again he starts off by flourishing a little. And maybe it's interesting to talk a little bit about this word, flourishing. It's often used in England for something like preluding, improvising. An interesting example is in Purcell's theatrical works, but also in Shakespeare we see that sometimes. For example, they will say, "The recorders will flourish in C." So there's no written music, there's no tune that's referred to, just they will improvise a little bit. So I think it's interesting to see that in the 19th century that word is still in use. So back to the book, Poor Jack. At the end of the chapter, Dick, the fiddler, plays several flourishes on his fiddle and Opposition Bill tries to imitate him, but is said to make sad work of it. And this was apparently a regular occurrence, as Bill always followed Dick around. I wanted to share this part because we see a little bit of how this oral tradition perhaps worked, even if Dick wasn't officially Bill's master, but by just following him around all the time and trying to emulate what Dick was doing, Bill was learning on the go. And even as in this painting that you can see here, if people did have written music or learned with a master or in a conservatorio or whatever, probably this approach to learning, this oral approach, was much more used back then than it is now. And I think also it's interesting, this idea of just trying. You try to emulate it. If you can't, you'll do what you can, and the next time hopefully it'll be better. And that's the best way to try to learn to improvise, not to try to do it perfectly. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. Thanks so much to Félix Verry for recording the little preludes that you could hear. An interview with him will be on the channel at some point as well. And you can find him in this picture somewhere. Well, it's probably not very well hidden, but have a look. Also, I'd love to know, let me know in the comments whether you have ever improvised on the streets. Did you improvise a prelude then as well? And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.